I spoke about producers specifically sabotaging themselves. I want to give them a networking key. It's super simple, but it's powerful, I promise. And the key to networking for producers is celebrate the successes of others, from the top producers to people you've never heard of before. Peace, what's going down, everyone? My name is DJ Payne One. I'm joined by Erinn Knight and Dame Ritter. This is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. I'm trying to be more formal when I introduce our episodes from now on. So let me know how I'm doing. How are my special co-hosts, aka guests? I'll let some of the people in the comments tell it, doing this morning.
I'm doing not as many wins as I expected to have at the beginning of the week. So it didn't flow like I thought it would. So it was a challenging week for me. But we're here, we're alive, and we're gonna keep it pushing.
I'm gonna say I had the opposite experience of Dame. I had more wins than I was expecting, and that was good. I'm very tired right now because I just landed back in Atlanta and didn't even have time to get home before we had to film this. So I just came to a friend's house. But yeah, I thought I was going to a virtual event. Another artist invited one of my artists out to a virtual event. I thought it was a virtual event. Ended up playing a stadium in Indianapolis last night. So I found out 2 hours before sound check that we were actually playing live in front of 12,000 people. So that was amazing.
What made you think it was a virtual event?
So they told us. So, y'all know I work in Christian music a lot. So the Catholic Church doesn't do anything with hip hop whatsoever. But this year they were like, the Catholic Church has decided they want to invite hip hop artists to perform for their youth. And they were like, this is their big event. They do it every Christmas. They send it out to all the youth. So I'm thinking that was kind of the terminology. We were invited to be a part of another artist's set. So my artist just did 3 songs. So the terminology was kind of da-da-da-da. And they were like, yeah, we're going to bring our crew, our lighting, our sound tech, because we want it to look and sound really good. So again, I'm thinking it's virtual because of the crew that they were flying out. I don't know. I just missed it. And this artist also has the day-to-day manager. So I don't do the day-to-day stuff. So her day-to-day manager sent me the itinerary and all that. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's just, we're going to fly. And I flew out because I wanted to meet the people putting it on. Because I'm like, yo, if the Catholic Church is passing out bags to hip hop artists now, like, let's do it. So I go out and yeah, it ended up being 12,000 people and it was amazing. So yeah, nice. Last night was super tight. This week has been flowing really, really well. So I'm in a good space right now.
Nice. Well, I'm going to try to feed off your energy, as I am glad that you have had many wins this week. So I'm going to try to feed off that energy and, finish my week.
Yeah, next week, all 3 of us are winning.
So yeah, let's get into it. Payne, you want to start us off?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's do this because thank you, Erinn, for sharing something happy. I'm exhausted by this mentality, in especially the producer community. I mean, I'm in the producer community. It happens all the time across the board in creative fields. So I want to turn this into a lesson rather than just complain about how people's attitudes are all messed up. So I spoke about producers specifically sabotaging themselves. I want to give them a networking key. It's super simple, but it's powerful, I promise. But it seems like common sense. It's not. It's anything but common. It makes sense, but it's not common. And the key to networking for producers is celebrate the successes of others, from the top producers to people you've never heard of before, but actually mean it. People know when you're faking. Like if you say, hey, congratulations, man, check out my link. No one cares about that because people will do the same thing. Like, I'm sorry your aunt died. Hey, check out my mixtape. Maybe that'll help you. Please don't ever do anything like that. And if someone does that to you, just block them. You don't need that energy in your life. But actually get into the state of mind of being happy for others, especially your peers. If you as a producer or anybody celebrate sincerely the wins of the people around you, 2 things will happen. Number 1, it'll change your energy from maybe being bitter or greedy, if that's how you're feeling. If you're feeling frustrated with your career, you have low energy, vulgar energy, and it'll change that to celebratory and positive. And then number two, it's a great way to network because you're not asking anybody for anything. You're simply being supportive. People really do appreciate that. I appreciate that. If somebody is consistently sending me positive messages at some point, and it's not even going to feel like obligation. At some point, if they ask me one of those long ass questions where I'm like, oh, I don't have the energy to answer this today. Or if they ask me a favor, or like even send me a link and say, hey, can you check out my beats? I'm going to do it because I remember all the positivity and support that they made me feel. And we associate the feelings that others give us with the energy that we're willing to give back to them. That's just how it is. And you often see the opposite though. So, quick story about my best friend. I'm so proud of him. For years, I'm talking about years, and he's so talented. I tried to convince him to quit his job to make beats full time for years because he has the talent. And I'm like, just seriously try. I promise you can do this. I'm here if you need me. And finally, a little over a year ago, he did. And now he's number one on the billboards. In less than a year, he's number one because he's on the Summer Walker album. That's selling very well. I had nothing to do with that. He played on he's just been working hard in a way that I don't work. He's making sample libraries every month. One every month, sometimes more, which is nuts because that's basically like composing an entire album every month. I can't do that. I did it a couple months ago. And I'm like, man, I got to take a break from this. So I'm trying to build that habit in myself to be more productive and love that process more because it'll take a lot out of you. Anyway, some producer that none of us have ever met got the samples, flipped it into this amazing Summer Walker and Lil Durk record called Toxic, and that album is out of here. So it's number one. I'm proud. What do you do when you're proud of someone, especially since it's his birthday week? You celebrate. So I celebrated with a couple social media posts, and I basically said, my friend quit his job a little over a year ago, and now he's number one on the billboards. I thought it was an inspirational post. Follow your dreams, trust in your talent. Well, there was a backlash. People were actually upset about that.
Pan, we got to be balanced though, right? Like that post was one of our most liked posts at the same time, right?
True. It did well, and I'm happy that it did inspire, I'd say, the majority of people. But right. I just want to read just because this mentality, and hopefully the people watching this isn't to like shame anyone. It's just think about how insane it is to look at this kind of celebratory comment and have a negative reaction. Like one guy said, that's such a scary, that wasn't a negative reaction. One person comments, not to be pessimistic, but sometimes it doesn't work for everyone. Of course it doesn't. Never said it did. My post had nothing to do with that. I'm celebrating my friend's success. And also, if you start your sentence with not to be blank, not to be racist, not to be sexist, but I don't think women should be able to vote. Like, you're always going to say something stupid right after that kind of statement. So, please, if you catch yourself formulating that kind of sentence, maybe just stop after that. You know what I mean? Just stop after that.
I just looked at these comments and I got depressed. This is crazy.
Well, why are we focusing on the negative comments when it was such a liked post? Like, there was so much positivity generated from it, but we want to keep. Yes, there were definitely some. I think that some people are just discouraged with their journey. Like, it's a very discouraging journey, like, because it's a very hard path to take in order to make music as a career. But I don't think we should be focusing on, because it was the positive was way more in the majority than the negative.
I think he has a valid lesson though. And I'm all about the positive energy. I get where Payne is going with this. Payne, you can continue. I'm feeling
it's frustrating to see for sure, but it's like, that's just the internet. Like, that's
Well, yeah, I mean, I had people jumping in DMs talking about you're a pussy and all this other stuff because they didn't like that post, and it's like, I really, hilarious. Yeah, well, and they won't do a damn thing. But here, the thing about this is like, on one level, this is my friend we're talking about. I made it very clear. I'm celebrating his success. If you have something negative to say about him, I'm gonna react. Period. And if you can't relate to that, then I know the type of person you are. And you're not the type of person I respect. If you can't even be loyal to yourself, you're damn sure not going to be loyal to your friends the way that my friends are loyal to me. Because this is a man that I've been through a lot with for years. In our former lives, being broke as hell, jumping fences, doing all types of stuff. We were literally in an alleyway about to go to jail, ruin our lives. And we had some moment of divine universal intervention. And I don't even want to get into that. I'm saying I've been through a lot with this person. People think it's some kind of post where I'm saying, quit your job. I'd never say that. Like, I don't know if you watch any of the content, but it's not realistic to read so far into that. So to speak to what Dame's saying, I understand that it's a projection of what they're going through. And I'm saying this as someone who scraped by for a long time with his music. I was mad as hell every day when I wasn't seeing progress. That's why I want to come out on the other side now that I am seeing progress and tell people, this is not the attitude to take. People somehow do believe that this negative lashing out at people you perceive as more successful is the way to go. Like, it's going to get you attention. You're going to be so real because you're speaking the truth and this and that. It's not the truth. It's your emotional state. I mean, I guess it's the truth for you. If you're upset and now you've embraced your anger and pessimism, that becomes your truth. But over here, we're celebrating success because that's our truth. So there was this one gentleman who said, your whole post is a lie. It's deceptive, this and that. How? This really actually happened. This really happened. I mean, my friend is not rich at all. He hasn't even gotten paid for this yet. But I'm happy for him. He's number one. That's a really encouraging thing. So people read way too much into it and it becomes this ugly situation. I mean, for me, 6 or 7 months after I decided to go all in on music, I was on a number one album. So it happened to me. It happened to my friend. It took him a little longer. I still had 3 jobs at the time, but it was validating and it helped me see that I could work towards making music full time. So did I celebrate that? Hell yeah, I did. Did it change my life? Could I quit my jobs at that point? Could I, buy a house at that point? No. So I think if you're ignorant and inexperienced, and I don't mean ignorant in this insulting way, ignorance is just not knowing. So if you don't know, I understand why you would read into this post and maybe get upset. But I'm telling you, anger is a vulgar emotion. It's a simple emotion. Toddlers show anger. Guess what toddlers don't have? Impulse control. Guess what toddlers don't show? Perspective. Empathy. These are things that you try to foster in a young kid because they might see that someone else has a shinier toy and they might have a fit. You don't want to be like that. We're grown adults here. So I don't know.
It's still tough. Like, I think jealousy is natural. It's like, how do you channel it? Right. Like sometimes it turns into anger, frustration, and you're like mad at that person, as opposed to like channeling it a different way. Like I have all kinds of friends that are doing way more amazing things than me. Like, but I don't get mad at them. I'm happy for them, but I turn it into, education, motivation. Like it's just, how do you channel? It's natural to feel some type of jealousy. It's natural. So I think,
I don't know if jealousy is natural. I don't. At all.
But maybe there's a better word for it. But you want, like, if you're really putting your all into this, like you want what you see other people having. Like what's a better word? What's a better word for it?
I think it's ignorance.
Jealousy is right. And I think envy is a thing, but I think both of those are derived from comparison. And I feel like if you're focused on comparing yourself instead of being your best, then that's why you end up bitter and frustrated. And that's what the point that I feel like Pain is making. And not to say that I'm different. I'm not saying that nobody experiences jealousy. I'm not trying to live. I just genuinely personally don't experience it because I have a different kind of mindset. But I just feel like I think it's valid. So I'm hearing what you're saying. I just think the thing is like that energy Kanye calls it alternate energy. That energy could be steering you towards creating a better future for yourself.
Right. I mean, maybe like I said, maybe there's a better word for it, but I mean, I'll just be completely honest. Like I said, when I see people, like I'm genuinely happy for them. Like it's not directed towards them at all. It's more directed towards me. Like, what do I need to do? Like, what do I need to figure out? What do I need to learn? How do I put myself in a position? But it's not negative. So to me, maybe I don't understand the nuance between, like, it's definitely not envy. Because to me, it's like envy, like that turns into me and that person but it's more of like, how do I channel these
like
feelings
competitive or like challenging? I think that's a good way to do it. Then I think that's how you should do it.
But it has nothing to do with them. Like it's all me. Yeah. So I can still be genuinely happy for them. But even with when I show love to people, because I see a lot of people showing love, but I can tell it's really them kind of clout chasing. Right. So sometimes when I show love to people, I'll just send them a text. Like I don't need to tag them on Twitter or tag them on Instagram. Like if it benefits them too, then maybe I will do it, which probably, I'm not accusing Pain of this, but I'm just speaking in general, like, because you can tell when people are like they're not really showing love. They're really just trying to show other people that they know that person in hopes that that person will like retweet them or comment back. So it's more selfish. And I see a lot of that as well. So a lot of times I just text them instead of, or give them a call.
No, that's definitely why I said you got to feel it. It's not a matter of but I think you got to get into the habit of doing it first. And I think there's power in congratulating people publicly. The same way there's power in apologizing to people publicly or admitting your faults publicly. There are people watching. And, certainly I'm not saying, start congratulating people and all these, and they'll turn around and throw bags your way or they'll give you opportunities. And that's really not the point. Really, the point is, it's a synthesis, as Erinn was saying. I'll take what Dame is saying and what Erinn is saying and agree with both, because you're changing the way you convert your energy or the way you use your energy. And part of it, I think the biggest part, is controlling your impulses. As I said, a child does not control their impulses. That's what separates children from adults. At least when I was a kid, that's what I thought it was, And then you start seeing that there are a lot of adults who never learn that talent. But I think that's the first step, because I used to be bitter just the same way. I'm like, oh, this guy accomplished this. Why? Of course he did. He kissed somebody's ass. He did. So I found a way to minimize it. And then with the internet, that impulse to share that ugly idea, that ugly thought publicly is so strong. Right. The first step is to just control that impulse and say, you know what? I may feel that, but I'm not going to say it publicly. I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm going to consider how I'm going to reflect on this feeling. I'm going to reflect on why I feel this way, because I don't know this person. I have no idea what actually happened. I'm not, I could say, well, you guys are fellatiating Satan and that's how you got this and that. I don't know these people from a can of paint. So why would I say that? But that's part of the reflection process. And then eventually you can get to the next step, which is trying to channel that into a positive statement. And then from that point on, the next step is feeling that level of positivity in a sincere way. And the last thing I'm going to say is, there's this weird, and this was a big criticism that I got for the post. It was, well, he's your best friend. And a couple of people said this. He's your best friend. Of course he got on. Of course he got this placement because he's connected to you. It's like, I don't think you know who I am. Yeah, like I'm not the Scarface of the music business. I'm not Jay Prince. You know what I mean? I don't, and even if I were, that's how the music business is. People earn connections through hard work. Connections don't just show up. People really do. And this is another childish, ignorant thing that people believe, that in the music business, someone can just like text you over a connection and like, here's a connection. Now you're rich and famous. That's definitely not how it works. Like I said, my friend who just got this placement on the #1 album, who hasn't been paid for it yet, who's been putting out a sample library every single month, if not more frequently, was playing on everybody else's, has been making beats since he played guitar on my first big record. And we probably were having, for every let's say we did 50 sessions, for every 50 sessions we had together, maybe one of them would result in something. He and I, when I was a teenager, he's a couple years older, we were selling CDs in the street hand to hand for $5 to $10. I'm talking about, this was 15 plus years ago. People pay dues. I didn't give anybody anything. And to even think that that's how business works just betrays a person's inexperience. It's not how it works. And I think people who are completely outside of the music business thinks this is how it goes. Like there's a gatekeeper who just hands out connections to anyone who makes an Illuminati hand gesture in an Instagram story. I wish, but connections are actually really, really, really hard to earn. And the vast majority of them, even if you get a good connection, you know how many famous people I know, how many rich people I know? Those connections don't get me anything. I just know the people. Sometimes there will be an opportunity. Sometimes I'll give them an opportunity, you know? So hopefully the people watching this, I don't know, believe what I'm saying is sincere. If not, there's nothing I can do about it. But I do encourage everybody to work on reflecting and seeing if there is a bunch of negativity or jealousy or envy or whatever in your heart, and actively attempting to detoxify yourself of that. It's worth it. It really is. I mean, it's an ongoing process. I don't want to act like I'm some happiness guru. I work on it every day and fail sometimes, often. But, you know, try it.
Well,
we can do it.
Be happy for other people. That means you'll never be happy for yourself. I know an artist right now who's up, like winning, and he complains about everything. I don't work with him. I would never work with somebody like this, but he tore people down in the city all the time. This happened. You know, if they weren't buddy with him and like doing features for him, it's immediately, I'm tearing you down. That's all this dude does. I can't even be in a room with him because all he does is talk about people, and he's killing it right now. And so he's now just talking shit about everybody else still. And I'm like, yo, what would have made you happy? This whole time we thought it was that you needed to be up. Now you're finally here. And the truth of the matter is he's somebody who's benefited more from connections than his work ethic, right? So it took him way longer to get where he is if he would have just put in the work. I toured with him like 5 years ago. He could have been where he's at now, you know? He's just kind of starting to make money. And I'm just telling you, like, if you think that the moment that you win, you're going to feel better, as you bring down all these people, you won't. You'll hate it and you'll continue the cycle. So learn how to fix, like you said, what is in you? If you envy people, if you hate people when you see good happening to you, see good happening to them, like what happened to, you know, people used to say, who hurt you? What makes you feel that way? Do I feel unworthy of winning? Do I feel like I'm never going to get there? Do I subconsciously know that I don't have the work ethic to subsist that long? You know, that's really what it is. You're angry at yourself, or you're angry about the trauma that you've experienced, or you're angry that you feel these things, not really this, like you said, we don't even know this person. So I'm with you. I encourage everybody, please be good to people, because it means that you're good to yourself.
Exactly, because you're hurting yourself. At the end of the day, it's the biggest self-love move you can make, detoxifying yourself of all that. I mean, emotions they have physical consequences. We can't separate our physicality from our psychology, or our thoughts, or our emotional states. They're all really one and the same. So yeah, there's a reason why when you're sad, you can't eat. Eating is physical. Not eating is unhealthy. There's a reason why when you're scared, you have an upset stomach. There are physical consequences to your emotional state. So, I can go up here and call these people ignorant and whatever names I have for them, childish, this and that, which I did. I don't know if I regret that. I don't think it was the best way to go about it, but ultimately, I understand that those ugly emotions and what comes with it. And I'm telling you, you don't want that for your life. And I hope you find a way to get out of it. I don't, beyond that, I can't really do much other than encourage you and say, I used to go through the same thing. I used to really be bitter, and it didn't help me ever. It never helped me. Being angry and lashing out at people never got me an opportunity, and it won't get you one either.
Erinn, I'm not sure what artists you're talking about, but I'm surprised that they're even winning now. Like I normally see people that hate on other people or talk about other people. Like I never see them have success. So I'm surprised. This person must really be talented or just really be connected.
I will say he's an anomaly to me, because I feel the same way, but I think he has enough privilege that he can exercise. I don't think it'll last, but he has enough privilege and influence and money right now to where it's shifting things in the right direction. But I'm with you. I've never seen anybody last long doing this.
Right. Well, I think kind of connected to what Payne's talking about is my topic. Like I've seen just a lot of artists recently, like shun certain opportunities or not be grateful for certain opportunities because they feel like the opportunities are lower than where they're at, when in reality, they're not. Right. Like I wanted to, at one point, this would be a very hard book to write, but, the book I wanted to structure in a way of like what your expectations should be realistically at every level of your career. And I guess level being defined by like how many actual fans you have. Right. Because there are artists on very low levels they get opportunities and they feel like they're bigger than the opportunity because they deserve to be on the Breakfast Club or they deserve to be rapping for Sway. When those are opportunities for artists that are on like your level 7, 8 to 9s, and you're really on level 2, the problem is you're portraying yourself to be at a level 6, 7, 8, or 9 on social media. So I don't think it kind of hurts them, or they can't embrace some of these other opportunities, or they can't tag certain people that are supporting them, because then it would look like they're on the actual level that they're on. When in reality, what you're doing is like, you're not building with the people that are on your level. These people might turn into the Sways, might turn into the Breakfast Club, or they might go into the music industry and have positions of influence. So you're stopping yourself from building with the type of people that could change your career maybe in a year or so. Like time moves so fast, and the people that were your peers, or even people, I try to show respect and love to people that, don't have as much experience as me, the same amount of experience, more experience, doesn't matter, because you never know where these people will be, right? Like I saw, like when I came into the game, like XXL was not messing with us at all, right? But eventually, we all of our artists became XXL freshmen. And at the time, I think early in XXL, Carl Cherry was working there. I don't know what his role was, but he wasn't a very senior person, right? Then he moved over to Apple. Now he's over to Spotify. Like, so if I would have not built with these people at those times, or if I would have been like, treated them lower or whatever, like I would have never gotten the opportunity to build with these people, and I wouldn't have like the network that I have now. So what I'm encouraging artists to do is, anybody that shows you love, show it back, right? Because you have to be appreciative of that support at any level, because there's a shitload of artists out there that they could be showing love to. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of artists that they could be showing love to. So embrace that love, show them love back, tag them, support what they're doing. because you never know where their show is going to go, you know, what they're going to do in the industry. And you're not going to get supported back if in the early days, you know, you were treating them like a peasant. And I've just seen that so much. So now when these cats are commenting on Payne's post saying, oh, this person just got that because they have connections. Well, maybe they have connections because they didn't treat people like shit in the early days, and they really built and showed that they're a solid person.
Absolute fact.
And they built with people over years. Like, that's why they have connections. Connections don't just get granted to people. It's give and take. Sometimes it's give, you know, and that's how you build your connections over the years. So these don't just come out of nowhere. I came into the game, I didn't know anybody in the music industry. The only person I knew in the music industry, and I didn't even really know him, a frat brother introduced me to a cat named Propaganda, which I'm pretty sure that Erinn knows. Like, super cool with him to this day. The solid cat. I was just asking him a bunch of questions because at the time he was the only person that I knew that was in the music industry and was making some moves. So I hit him up, and you know, he's one of the most solid cats I know in the music industry to this day. So you don't start with connect. At least I did. I mean, some people do. You know, some people are born and, you know, they might be Swiss Beats son, or, you know, but those are, you know, it's not a lot of people that just get born into the industry with hella connections.
But even those people typically don't, and I'm not saying this to be shysty, but in my experience, those people don't typically really excel because you come in kind of with an open door. So you haven't had to build your muscles from the resistance that you face. So they may be in a big room, they may have connections, whatever, but like they started here and then they go here. Whereas somebody like you is like, I started and you're like here, you know? So I don't know. I'm so with you though. I think the misread on the connections is weird, but also the building with people. I think about right now, the people that I have in my phone calling me, like a friend of mine just got hired at Hypebeast. Another friend of mine just got a crazy role at Spotify. I'm talking about just this week. That's why it's been such a good week for me. Not even just because of me, but like my friends are killing it.
Your friends only got that because they knew you.
Right. It's like, I don't even know how to get in there, but like another friend just got hired at Tidal. Right. So it's like all of these pieces are falling into place for all of us at the same time. But at the same time, my friends are getting these jobs. My artists are popping because we've been working. So now, of course, my friends are going to call me and say, hey, Erinn, we have this brief. Can we make it happen a little bit easier than going through all the lawyers? Of course. But that's because, man, my friend who just got hired at Spotify, she has a crazy role too. I have known her since she was at Georgia State. I'm a few years older than her. I was like driving downtown to meet her. We were just talking, meeting at studio. You know what I'm saying? Neither of us knew anything. She was a manager. We were trying to figure it out. We just stayed connected, talking, constantly supporting each other. This is 10 years ago, you know, and it's people don't want to show love for 10 years. And if you're just showing love to get love, then it's not real. Right. So like when she would win, I'm happy because I'm like, yo, this is another Black woman prospering. I don't care about any affiliation. To me, she was winning in and outside of the music industry. She was working in publishing, stuff that had nothing to do with me. I was working in rock music when I met her. She was working for DTP. There was no connection, right? So I just feel like people have to understand, one, these solid relationships and the connection hacks that you're looking for are right on your social media when you're hating on this dude, like he's stupid, like how did he get that, or how did they, whatever. Like, so yeah, it's all very connected. And then I think too, for me, something that I want to like encourage people, I know that y'all have this same experience. If this stuff happens prematurely, you can't handle it. Right. So you need to be where you're at as an artist, as a producer, as a manager. I used to wish, I'm like, man, I just wish da-da-da would call me. I wish I could do X, Y, and Z. I wish I had connected to Spotify. I'm looking at that right now. Even on my team, after calling the reins, they'll be like, well, you know somebody at Spotify. I'm like, no. we can work this problem out. And that's what I feel like is the problem with people who get put on too soon or they're related to somebody. Instead of learning how to work problems and solve problems, you just make a call. So I'm teaching my team, like, no, this is how you solve this problem. We don't have to reach out to my friend at Spotify. That's for an emergency or a major thing. But if I'm staying steady, they're going to see what we're doing and they're going to show love because I've been showing them love, And so I think that a lot of times artists want to be at where they see, but it's a lot more that comes with that. If you get on Sway and you have no music out, or you don't have a team to support the influx of fans, you don't have a marketing plan, you don't have a rollout, you don't have a next move, you will just be on Sway.
Right.
And I think that people just don't, I just need to get on a festival stage. I just need to get on this tour. I've seen it happen. I've seen homies of artists that I told them, hey, your homie adds no value to this show, but if you want them on it, cool. I'm like, hey, you should do this, this, and this. They don't listen. What is their homie doing? Living with their mom right now, And we was just on this tour. And that's no disrespect to anybody, but you have to understand there's levels to this. There's levels to connecting. There's levels to subsisting. There's levels to growth. If you are not prepared for what you desire, then it'll kill you. It'll actually, overwatering a new plant will kill it. Water is great, but until that plant can handle it, it'll kill it. So I think people just got to understand this. It's like you understand where you're at and thrive there. If you thrive there, you will elevate regardless.
Well, and then also I would just focus on what's in front of you too. I think everything we talked about all ties in to this theme of handling your own business, not necessarily in a literal sense, but in the sense of having tunnel vision. I think that's the most powerful thing any creator can have. Just really focusing on what they're doing, celebrating the wins of others, but not focusing on really anything else other than their art, their fans, their brand building, their growth, which is difficult because we live in a world of distractions, and a lot of us have been conditioned to desire distraction. People love distraction. People love escape. People love, A, B, and C apps and streaming services and this and that. But there's a ton of power with just putting your head down and focusing on what you're doing. And that will eliminate a ton of issues because, you may be a nomad, or not a nomad, a hermit for like a year, but you're going to come out of there. If you focused on yourself, you're going to come out of that with better music, better understanding of your own process, less of a desire to want to focus on what other people are doing and compare yourself to them in any sort of unhealthy way. You're going to have a better understanding of what benchmarks you want to hit. You're going to have more of a plan if you did it all correctly and focused on the right things throughout that process. There's a lot of power in that. I mean, what else is there? I think people just get overwhelmed by all of the shiny objects in the music business, and really all that. It's not about impressing that A&R over there or high-fiving this celebrity over here. Just make your music and become the artist that you want to become. Really have a clear picture of that in your mind and figure out how to get to that point through actionable steps.
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of common themes amongst, your guys' story and the stuff that we shared today. I think that the only thing that I forgot to mention, I don't know if anybody still had something on this topic, but I did briefly want to talk about just kind of Tidal and their new payout structure. Briefly, I don't even know too much about it, but I just wanted to, unless you guys still had comments on.
Educate me, because I have no idea what this new Tidal payment structure is.
So basically, Tidal is introducing a new tier, a $20 tier. Oh, I think maybe they're changing everything to a $20 tier. I'm not too sure, but because the way artists get paid out now on Spotify, it's like a market share. It's like everybody's plays go into a big old pool, and they get paid like by market share. So a lot of money goes to the artists that get streamed the most, the Drakes, Ed Sheerans, things like that. So
their labels, let's be real.
Right. So the way that the Tidal is paying, and I think SoundCloud does this too. It's like more of your user, whoever, like if you're a user and you listen to Erinn's artist the most, right? More of your money is going to go to Erinn's artist, right? So theoretically, they're changing it in a way where smaller artists can get a higher payout, because if somebody if somebody has a Tidal subscription because they only listen to independent artists, they don't really care about the Drakes, or maybe they just have one particular artist that they care about, like more of the money is going to go to that artist. And I think this is great. I wish Spotify would adopt it because it'd have more impact, because obviously Spotify is a much bigger streaming service. Because unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make more people run to Tidal. I mean, it might have a small uptick in users, but I think this is how artists should be paid out across the board on all streaming platforms, in my opinion. So shout out to Tidal for making this change. SoundCloud, I think, does it the same way. So just wanted to mention that. I don't know all the details around it, but I hope it works. I hope it works for Tidal so that maybe Spotify moves in that direction, which I highly doubt. But shout out to Tidal.
Tell me if I'm being too negative with this statement. It's frustrating to me because we always have complaints about the way certain platforms or practices in the music business, favor everybody but the creator. And then you hear a lot of talk about, YouTube is unfair, we need an alternative. Spotify is unfair, we need an alternative. When is someone going to create an alternative? People create alternatives all the time and they get no support. Tidal is an alternative to Spotify. I'm not saying Tidal is perfect. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it certainly seems fairer than Spotify in terms of its payment structure. Why aren't people flocking to Spotify or to Tidal? Why isn't there this mass exodus from Spotify over to Tidal? And the reality is the consumer is not the creator. The consumers are different. The consumers are being sold these platforms and these products, and there's a whole centuries worth of research done on consumer psychology and how to get people to buy into something, even if that something is an inferior or less moral or less desirable product than the alternatives. That's what marketing is. So yeah, that part does frustrate me, because you do see good ideas pop up and then you see bad ideas pop up, and you see a lot of people flock to the bad ideas simply because the way those bad ideas were marketed.
Well, it's like, it's a $20 instead of Spotify's, I think, $10 or $13. So yeah, people act like they care until they're asked to pay a few more dollars. And then I was like, how much do you really care?
Yeah, but my thing is this: if suddenly everyone flocked over to the $20 model with Tidal, maybe there would be change, and maybe Tidal would say, "Oh wow, look, we have a bigger market share of the streaming consumers. We can drop our prices." Or Spotify can say, "Oh, now we got to compete with Tidal. Let's have a fairer payment structure. We're going to adjust ours and drop the price to compete with them." And that's kind of like the myth of capitalism, where people always say, "Well, if this company over here does a better job, people are going to run to that." And it's like, that's a whole different conversation. But clearly that doesn't happen. So,
no, I mean, we see the same thing with fucking climate change. Like you want to make, people pay a few extra pennies or a dime for a bag, people start going crazy. But then they, on the flip side, like they care about the environment. And it's like, do you really? Like when you're asked to pay a few more dollars, they could have an impact. And it's like, no, same thing. So same thing. Like people want artists to be paid more, but they don't want to do it. Like they don't, so it's.
I low key feel like it shouldn't be on the consumer though, to a degree. I'm kind of a pain. I feel like it's like voting and all of that. It's like, y'all need to solve these terrible problems we created. Vote for one of two piss poor candidates that aren't going to actually say, it's like this, like, so it's like switch to a better streaming service so that corporations have to give back a portion of the money they've already been taking from art. You know, so it's like, I don't think it should be on the consumer. I'm with that. But y'all heard it here first. I really think that this is going to change like the growth model of DSPs, because this is giving them, to me, a more solid end to the metaverse, right? So if it's $20 and they're doing more of a profit share margin, they're sharing a philosophy similar to Odyssey. Are you guys familiar with Odyssey right now? It's it's supposed to be taking the place of YouTube. It's similar to an NFT. You can, let me not say it's similar to an NFT because I don't know enough about Odyssey. It's basically a segue to the metaverse where when you watch a video, the user gets paid directly off of your views. So I had an artist reach out and tell me about it the other day. He makes maybe $30 a month on YouTube, but right now is averaging 2 cents per view on Odyssey, right? So I'm seeing once people understand, well, because it seamlessly integrates with YouTube. So once people understand Odyssey, they're going to start shifting their fans over there, I believe. Same thing with Tidal. I think that this wave right now is going to convince enough artists themselves to start investing time and energy. I'm going to do it with all of my artists into Tidal. You know what I'm saying? So once you do that, Tidal, when they first came out, we're trying to offer a ton of original content, live stream concerts, you know, they were documentaries, all of that. And it kind of just flopped because it's like, why do I need another smart streaming service? There's Spotify, there's Apple, there was Deezer, you know, now saying one, your creators are going to get more money means that more artists are going to be dedicated to Tidal. So now more artists being dedicated to Tidal means that artists are going to promote Tidal. They're going to get, I know they're rolling out new playlists. They're rolling out a bunch of new features on the back end for artists to win. So if artists the reason that Spotify wins, I will tell you, is because artists love to be in pissing contests. They love that they can see how many monthly listeners they have, what their number one song is. It's a competition model. It's not because Spotify does anything better for anybody, aside from the fact that because if the truth of the matter is you can get on a playlist on Apple, you know what I'm saying, the interface isn't as nice, but really and truly Apple makes more sense if from a business standpoint, right? Less streams, more money. So we're on Spotify because we can prove that we're worth this money, I guess, but we're getting less money just to show it. Now, if Tidal can say, we're going to roll out similar features, we're going to pay you more, and now we're going to be able to aggregate a ton more things, merch, all these things, I think that they're going to actually have a really strong play as we move into the metaverse. That's my personal opinion. I think that this is their step one into being highly competitive in the new age. I don't think that this is going to flop, in my opinion. I don't know why, but I've never felt strongly about Tidal until now. And I'm like, if they're doing a profit share essentially model, it's not quite that, but I mean, I guess it's all a pool share, but if they're doing a direct share with the artist instead of saying everybody just gets 0.0004 cents on every stream, I think this is going to make a major effect. And then I'm looking at like they're hiring a ton of people right now. I just think Tidal is a few steps ahead of us on this one, and I think it's going to be really big.
I hope so. And I don't think it's going to flop, but I just don't have faith in people willing to spend a few more extra dollars on anything.
I think though, if you're giving them an experience that's like streaming plus, right? So I agree. I think if it's just streaming, people are going to be like, why do I need to switch streaming?
But even you said in the beginning, they started out giving you streaming plus and it didn't work.
Right, because the artist didn't support it. It's like, why would I tell my fans to go over here when Spotify has the playlist, when Spotify has the numbers? Now the artists are like, yo, I'm getting paid more. I'm willing to give unique content and to Tidal. I'm willing to have conversations with Tidal about stuff, whereas before it's like, yeah, we got the cover of a Tidal playlist, but what does that mean, right? Now I think artists are going to want to play ball. That's going to ultimately lead to them marketing more for Tidal, and that's going to bring fans over because they're going to see the value in the unique content. And originally when they rolled out the unique content, it was pre-COVID. people didn't spend as much time on their phones. I think phone usage, whatever, is up like 40% since that time, right? So now people are on their phone more looking for stuff like that. So I personally think it's going to be a great play.
I hope so. Yeah. But Tidal has been paying more to artists since day one. And, you know, that viral
base is this big.
Exactly.
I think their user base is going to grow. And I think this $20 thing is going to be able to give them even more. And they're saying they're going to pay out quicker. That was another complaint that a lot of people had, is that Tidal gives you more money, but it takes forever to get your payout. So I think I don't know. I see how it could, because you're saying it won't flop. I think most of the stuff that they've done is flopped, to be honest, especially even like Lemonade. I remember them only having Lemonade on Tidal, and I was like, what are you doing? Like this, like this doesn't make sense.
I think a lot of times artists over calculate like their influence. I mean, like in terms of like shifting mass consumer behavior. And sometimes it works, but like a lot of times it's way overestimated. But I mean, obviously I'm in support of artists. I want artists to get paid more. But it's just tough because obviously Spotify is a tech company. So they built their company a certain way with certain expectations to pay their employees. So how do you pay their employees a technology rate, like with a standard across the board, which is like 150,000? I think their average salary is like 150,000. So I don't know how you not increase the monthly subscription price and make everybody happy. I don't know how you do that, but it's not my problem to solve.
Well, and Erinn, thanks for suggesting Odyssey. I just signed up. I didn't know about it. And it's spelled ODYSEE as in C. So that's cool. Let's wrap this up because I think
Odyssey, give me an affiliate code.
Yeah, give me one too. Or combine, give MEC a combined
give MEC an affiliate code. Thank you, Odyssey. We love you.
I don't love you yet. I'm not going to lie, but I might. We'll see. I'm trying to. I want to try everything new, and I want to claim my social media real estate. So shout out to Erinn for putting me onto that. Let's end now. I think we talked about a lot and gave some good information out, especially the Odyssey. I feel like that's a gem. Anytime there's a new emerging platform, I definitely want to be on it. And I think everyone else should too. Even if it doesn't work out, at least you can try it out. Once again, appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back same time, same place. But we're also still running our free music business mentorship program twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on beatstars.live. Get alerted every time we go live. Dame, tell them how.
All you need to do is text MEC to 844-206-7800. We'll shoot you a text right before the session. Make it super simple. Tap in. We got some really dope sessions coming up, as we always do.
Appreciate you tuning in. Catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.